Hi everyone! In this video we will find the least common denominator of rational expressions. Find the LCD for 4x over 9x squared plus 33x minus 12 and 8 divided by 9x squared minus 48x plus 15. The first thing we want to do whenever we are factoring is look for the greatest common factor. This is the first thing we always look for. And in our first denominator, we do have a greatest common factor of 3. Each of these terms is divisible by 3, and we get 3x squared plus 11x minus 4. Our second denominator also has a factor of 3, so we can take 3 out and we are left with 3x squared minus 16x plus 5. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't get all the way down to the form of a equals 1, so we need to do the AC method and multiply a and c together for both of these and factor the AC. On the left, let's go ahead and multiply AC. We have 3 and negative 4, so we get negative 12, and finding all of the factors of negative 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and our sign is negative here, which means our two factors, the combination will be different signs, and the positive here says that the larger of the two will be positive. So we're going to put a positive on the larger side and a negative on the smaller side and find a combination to give us positive 11. And it looks like positive 12 and negative 1 give us positive 11. So we can go ahead and replace that. So we have 3x squared minus x plus 12x minus 4. And then we'll factor by grouping our first two and our second two. The first two have a x in common, and we're left with 3x minus 1. Then x2 have a positive 4 in common, so we're left with 3x minus 1. And between these two larger terms, we have a binomial of 3x minus 1 in common, giving us the second, what's left is x plus 4. And don't forget we have our 3 we took out at the beginning. Now let's go ahead on our second denominator, and we get AC as being 3 and 5, which is 15. Finding all the factors of 15 are 1 and 15, and 3 and 5. That's it. Our signs are positive and negative. Positive means that they will be the same, and the negative says that they will all be negative. So we'll put negative on everything. And we want a combination to give us negative 16. And negative 1 minus 15 gives us that. So we'll replace it. And we have 3x squared minus x minus 15x plus 5. Then we'll factor by grouping our first two and our second two. The greatest common factor of the first two is x. So we have 3x minus 1. And the greatest common factor of the second two is 5, but it's easier if the first term is positive, so we'll take out a negative 5, leaving us with 3x minus 1. Now between these two terms, the greatest common factor is 3x minus 1. So we'll take out the binomial 3x minus 1, and we have x minus 5. And don't forget, we had a 3 that we pulled out at the beginning as well. Now let's go ahead and line all of these up. I'm going to write our first denominator and our second denominator here, and we will find everything in common for the lowest common denominator. Our first denominator has 3 and 3x minus 1 and x plus 4. Our second denominator has a 3. It also has a 3x minus 1. It doesn't have an x plus 4, but it does have x minus 5. And now we're going to find everything in common for the lowest common denominator. So we have a 3 in common. We also have a 3x minus 1 in common, and we're looking for the lowest common denominator, so we need to include the ones that are also in the others, even though they are not in common. We need to include them to make it all part of the lowest common denominator, and our lowest common denominator is all of those together. If you've seen this process before looking for the greatest common factor, we only took the ones that were in common, but this one we want to include everything even though it's not in the other one, so that we get the lowest common denominator for everything included. So this is our LCD and we're all done.